On today's Minute of the Apes, we think we beat Zoom.
Dun, dun, dun.
Take your sticky paws off me, damn dirty ape!
Exercise would an ape make a human down. It talks. Not if the divine bound.
We are determined to know what the apes want, war or peace.
They are the good human, it's a dead human!
And if it is man's destiny one day to be dominated, then, oh, please, God, let him be dominated by such as you.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. That was Sean saying that we have cracked the Zoom code for now. And the third person on this line, bringing the true color to this podcast. Richard, how are you today?
I'm fine. I'm a rainbow of color all the time.
Yes, you are. All right. So we're going to do housekeeping right here at the front. If you didn't listen to yesterday, we discovered that without intent, we had different versions. We were watching different versions of this film that had been in sync until now. We finally found the first place where they broke apart. Rich and I being much more along the theatrical version, Sean watching the extended. We had agreed upon
My version is 1 hour, 27 minutes, 22 seconds.
And Richard and I are more in the 126, so that roughly minute difference is beginning to expose itself. So for the remainder...
We found 30 seconds.
Right.
30.
Yeah.
For the remainder of this week, we are going to, instead of stopping down and getting in sync, we're going to use this as a way to illuminate how things change, and we're going to do our best to get through it. So, Sean, I'm going to start with you. You tell us how your minutes begin and end this week.
All right. I have 63, starting with apes fleeing the fire, and ends with an announcer saying, "And I guess here it is."
And then, Richard, why don't you tell everyone how our minute begins and ends?
Our minute begins with Breck saying, "Yes, Commander, I understand the situation," and ends with pretty much all of the rest of the announcer's announcement, minus like 2 words.
So I'm curious. I didn't think about this. Here's the thing. I'm going to have to do it when I put this together. Here's what you're going to hear. I'm going to play first Sean's minute, and then I'm going to play our minute. So you're going to get 2 minutes of playback, and you get to hear how different they are at this point. We are not going to be hearing that, so forgive us. But here's the first minute, which is Sean's minute of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Commander, I understand the situation. Assemble as large a force as you can and follow them. Order full mobilization of all security forces, police, militia, and reserve detached units. See that every entrance into the city is cordoned off immediately.
Yes, sir. Our control methods to include the use of tear gas and sedation darts.
There will be but one control method: shoot to kill.
And a small mixed group of apes scheduled for intensive reconditioning have escaped from their quarters at Ape Management. Until they've been rounded up by the police, all citizens are requested to remain indoors. A further announcement will be made as soon as recapture is effected. And I guess here it is.
And now here's the minute that Richard and I heard.
Yes. Commander, I understand the situation. Assemble as large a force as you can and follow them. Order full mobilization of all security forces, police, militia, and reserve defense units. See that every entrance into the city is cordoned off immediately.
Yes, sir. Our control methods to include the use of tear gas and sedation darts.
There will be but one control method: shoot to kill.
And a small mixed group of apes scheduled for intensive reconditioning have escaped from their quarters at Ape Management. Until they've been rounded up by the police, all citizens are requested to remain indoors. A further announcement will be made as soon as recapture is effected. And I guess here it is. Ape management is in the hands of the apes. Many officials are either dead or held hostage. And the main band of rioting apes are at this very moment marching on the city. It's been established that the ape mob is under the command of...
As minute 63, we have a courtyard with a gorilla, chimpanzees, orangutans, imported apes, Caesar. We've probably lost apes in the revolution. I know we lost guards. Armando's still not coming back. It's just crazy.
Yeah, but think about this. We now have one confirmed on-fire guard that is in your count that wouldn't necessarily have been in my count with Todd's just because we didn't see the guard die or burst into flames.
Yeah.
That would not have been a part of my count.
So I think in this minute, one of the biggest things that Richard and I get is the governor saying the shoot to kill order. And that's probably one of the bigger pieces of information that Lisa overhears. Do you hear that in your minute, Sean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that should be in his minute. We just finish off the security. The announcer, his minute gets cut half in the announcer. We get to hear all of the announcer's speech.
Right. I think I was asking because I'm curious to know, since we put in the minutes post, if they moved the shoot to kill order to a later point. I mean, at this point, it's fair game that they can sort of pull things around and put them wherever. So, to me, that's probably the most important piece of information this minute holds for you and I, Richard, is that now it's shoot to kill the apes.
Well, I mean, weren't they shooting to kill inside the facility, ape management already without the order?
Shh, don't go for that. That's too logical, Sean. We have to announce that it is that before it's the threat.
That's why that shot was so the gunfire to me was so intentional when the guard shoots the ape. And so the shoot to kill order that happens later on, it's not as hard as it means to be. Dane had them being sedated constantly, but the point we're at now with a guard being set on fire and a guard shooting an ape clearly, and some dead bodies like slumped over things as they run out. Breck's shoot to kill order is not quite so powerful. It is.
True.
But visually, we already know that this is where it's gone.
Already happening, yeah.
It's where it's already taken, yeah. Maybe the shoot to kill order is important because it's to the rest of the security forces, not just the people at the prison.
I think the most alarming thing in this is that dude at the air hockey table has him some sideburns that could have got him hired to play an Imperial officer in Star Wars just a few years later. Man, those are some seriously thick sideburns. I am terrified of that crap. Nothing says more quickly to me the nastiness of the 70s than big old ugly sideburns.
Mutton chops.
Nasty. So we get Breck walking down, and that's where when he's talking to the sideburn individual, they reassemble at the table, and that's where Lisa begins to listen. Which again, my problem with Lisa. They've all but told us that Lisa understands human speech. She just can't speak it, is what they're implying, I think, because she is listening in. She's on the opposite side of the table, and she gets Blinky Blinky whenever he gives the shoot to kill order. Shoot to kill is very different than yes and no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the
Why
logic.
would she know that?
Has she ever heard that term before?
Right. But okay, so Caesar is and I'm jumping ahead to something someone says within the next minute, but that Caesar's a threat to humanity. We've known that by Breck's actions and all that. How is he a threat at this point? Because he's not begun to populate the ape species. He can speak, but no one knows if the apes can understand what he's saying. So once again, we're having leaps of logic where Lisa understands these things. I don't understand how she understands. I don't understand how Caesar's a threat because he can speak. He's a threat because he can think and because he can lead a revolution. Speech is not threatening by itself.
We're also suffering a little bit from movement of the characters. When we last left Lisa, Caesar had just shown up, said her name, and pulled all of the other apes and chimps with him except her. to take over the Ape Control Center with no real voice command other than calling her Lisa.
Right.
And for some reason, she's back in the command center. And I needed her to be doing something in the command center that felt like she was working towards something, not just hanging out. Now, if she was supposed to spy on what's going on, it would have been interesting to hear that dialogue or something to give us a sense. Otherwise, she's just magically back at the command center, just doing her job. I mean, there's.
I agree totally with that, Richard. I think that if two things had happened, if we had a moment early in this film where we knew that Caesar had some acknowledgement that she understood maybe more than the average ape. So
Correct.
He knew that. Then if whenever he does the Lisa, if instead of just Lisa, if it was, it's time. And then he looked to Lisa and said something like, I need you to go and be my ears. Go. And, and then whenever she's listening, boy, that's very powerful. But you're right. She randomly appears at the table again. We don't know why she's there, why she's going back about her duties. And we don't understand why she understands what shoot to kill means.
Well, hey, on top of that, if the governor hates apes so much and he's already ordered shoot to kill, why is he letting any apes stay in the control room with them?
Well, that's a good point.
Well,
there's a riot going on. Get these apes out of here.
Okay, well, at this point, he's probably not taking away apes from homes. He's not taking away servant apes. He's not taking away, worker apes. He's specifically trying to go after the prison stuff. So I could see why there might still be apes in the command center, because he doesn't necessarily think that he thinks this is an isolated situation, not a citywide thing, at least not yet. So maybe that's why he's not moving on apes in the command center. But to your point, yes, if I were a good commander, I probably would have locked down the command center from apes for this particular moment.
It would have been nice if he'd given, let's say he gave that order to ape, why is she in here? Get her out. And if somebody stood in and said, but she's doing this and this for us, fine. At least then you acknowledge it. And that the other people still see them and their need to help. But it's just, you're so right. There should be some action by him to say, why is that filthy ape still here?
Yeah. This is make it a little more serious because the shoot to kill has already been taken out in terms of its threat. And I don't know what, basically what they were doing in the washroom, all the apes were, I'm surprised Lisa's shocked by the shoot to kill order because they're already planning, all that weaponry and things like that. This escalation was going to happen. They weren't just going to play nicey once they took over ape management and just sedate them all, put them back into whatever.
I wish they had played nicey. That'd be such an interesting play of the ape movie. Nicey. Everybody just goodbye, y'all.
So whenever the McDonald says, hey, are we going to use tear gas and sedation darts? I thought to myself, hey, am I watching the news right now? And then the governor says shoot to kill, and I go, oh, shit, yeah, I am watching the news right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Does he say that in our version? Because I didn't make a note of that.
What?
Wait, what?
The tear gas does...
Is that tear gas and sedation darts?
Yeah, it's in our moment. There's the question about the methods to include tear gas and sedation darts, and then Brett goes, "We're going to be one method. Yeah, shoot to kill. Shoot to kill. What I cannot the next part really kind of speaks to the budget of the film. We go outside to again. It's always nighttime in this fucking city. We go outside to the nighttime courtyard. There are people still milling about. Also in all black, because people only in society know how to wear black. You can't really see them. They're walking around at night. They're in the courtyard. There's no lights in the courtyard. And they walk up to the ventilation duct that is apparently a speaker.
I thought that was a dirty grate.
Yeah.
It was a dirty grate. It is a dirty grate. It's two dirty grates, and they just stare at it. And they couldn't even take a second to wipe down the freaking dirty grate.
Okay, but could they also not go to the local Radio Shack and buy a couple of bullhorn speakers, put them up under something so that speak a language we all can get? We know that's a speaker. We know where they're getting it. But right now, the ventilation shaft, it's like magical because it's a ventilation shaft plus it's a speaker.
It really was a really just bad choice.
Yeah.
It was, and it wasn't even cleaned. Like they spent some time making the set, at least clean the ventilation shaft so it looks shiny or something so that it works at least fake works as a speaker. Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
Well, and it's also that choice of shot. The two things juxtaposed are that we see a